call it the joys of autism. Having a family with, having a child with autism, raising a child with autism in a place where you have to live with neighbors and other people. Well, thankfully, we live in a house where we don't like share walls. But I can imagine how difficult it will be to live in a place where you're sharing walls with people and your autistic child has a behavior. Like, that will not be fun. But yesterday, Williams took the trash out like he's been doing. But, you know, even though I've practiced taking the trash out with Williams, Williams still screams sometimes. Most times. I would say most times. Most times when Williams is taking the trash out, he's screaming. And I think it's partly because our driveway is a slope. So when he's holding onto the trash can, it's moving too fast for him. So he doesn't have control. So that makes him scream. And I know that that's the reason why he's screaming. And I know that when he gets down the slope, he's fine. He'll be fine once he comes to a level ground. So I don't bother helping him. But the thing is, he's screaming and the neighbors can hear him, right? So it was, in the beginning, I didn't know what to do. I wasn't sure if to keep telling him, don't scream, don't scream. I don't know. Or to just let him play it out and hopefully he gets used to the fact that going down the slope will always give you that feeling of not having control. And then by himself, he would just stop screaming on his own, right? So I was torn between what decision to make. And then yesterday was quite terrible. For some reason, he was screaming a lot more than usual. Even his sister was like, Mommy, you have to go help my brother. You have to go help my brother. And when he screamed the first time, I had looked out and I had talked to him and he said, there's a bee, Mommy. Yeah, we have bees outside. And I'm like, oh, don't worry about them. They only sting you when you look for their trouble or you're trying to hit them or something. But just go get the trash can, ignore the bees, go get the trash can and put it out. So when he continued to scream like that, I was contemplating, should I go help? Should I? Because at this point, I could hear him moving the trash can, right? So at this point, it wasn't a bee problem. It was the slope problem. So again, as an autism mom, sometimes we don't know when to step in or when to just let them be and figure it out. Because, you know, like when I was 10 years old, I would walk to school back in Nigeria, right? By myself. I would walk to school. It was maybe a 10-15 minutes walk to school. And that was just the norm. Or maybe a 20 minutes walk, actually. Because my school was farther than Williams School right now. Williams School right now is 10 minutes. But right now, I can't even imagine sending Williams off to school by himself, walking to school by himself. You know, I can't do that because, because times have changed, number one. And number two, my child has autism. So there are certain things I know that as an autistic child, I should not be putting him in that kind of situation. At least not yet, okay? Until we've practiced that skill over and over, right? But even with the skills that we've practiced, sometimes you're wondering like, okay, when should I step in to help? Because you don't want to help too much and then you're stunting their growth, right? That's not what we want to do. We want to help them enough to see that it's something that they can do themselves. So for me, I think my rule is I just do not assume that my autistic child can do something. And it depends on your child. Like if your child, some autistic children don't have issues with being independent, like skills for, like household skills. They probably don't have that issue, you know, some autistic children. Maybe the problem they have or the help that they need is with academics, right? With math, English, right? So it depends on your child. Whatever your child's needs are, for me, the first thing I want to do is to practice it a lot of times with them. That clears my conscience for when I just let them do it themselves. And if they like, let them cry to the heavens, I'm back. I'm just not going to help because I've put in the time and the effort to practice it over and over with them. And I know that they can do it. So at that point, when I know for a fact that my child can do that thing, and they're just not doing it. They're just being lazy, or they're just having a behavior or having a tantrum. I just let them do their thing and I don't bother to help. That way my conscience is kind of clear. I feel like I don't know if that will work for you guys, but I don't know if that's what you guys, how you guys feel, but that's how it makes me feel good when I've done the practice over time. And I don't assume that my autistic child knows something, because sometimes you think that they know something based on their age, but they don't, right? You know, that's what autism is, right? There's some things that they just don't know. So yesterday, with his screaming, and yeah, at some point after Zita yelled at me, "Go help my brother! Go help my brother!" I was like, okay, maybe I should go help him. But as I was thinking about going to help him, then he came into the house, and I was like, "Hey, did you do it?" He's like, "Yeah," and he came into the house still screaming. So this is like, I don't know if that happens to your kids, but like he's screaming based off of what was happening. And even though that thing has stopped happening, there's a residual scream that just keeps going. So he was still screaming as he came in the house. I'm like, "Why are you still screaming?" He's like, "You wouldn't help me when I asked you to help me." I'm like, but you did it though. Like, I looked outside, the trash can was outside in the right spot. I gave him high five. Actually, I just did like this because I didn't want to touch his dirty hand. And I'm like, "You did it. See, I didn't have to help you. Are you not proud?" And then he didn't want to answer me. I don't think he was feeling proud in that moment. But I think over time he'll begin to feel more proud of himself, you know, when he accomplishes tasks like that. But anyway, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about, because like I feel sometimes us parents, we and you know, like when he was screaming, I was thinking about our neighbors, like how will they feel at this point, because they could hear him. He screams really loud. Like how will they feel? My neighbor to my right, Miss Lucy, she knows Williams has autism. She loves Williams the way he is, because she has an autistic daughter, so she understands, right? She has an adult autistic daughter, so she doesn't even care. Like when he's screaming outside and I'm saying, "I'm so sorry, Miss Lucy," she's like, "Oh, please." So she understands. But my neighbor to the left, I don't know. My neighbor across me, I don't know how they feel. But this only happens on Wednesdays when he takes the trash out. Can say something. Do you think your son is rude or spoiled? I have a lot of questions. Oh, hey, okay. So do I think he's spoiled or rude? You know what? To be honest with you, it might be a little bit of all of them. Okay? Because us autism parents, we have the tendency to want to do everything for our children on the spectrum. So I can't tell you that he's not spoiled. I cannot tell you that. And I cannot tell you that he's not rude. He's probably a little bit of all of it. Okay? But I'm trying my best to, like I said, give him the practice. And then when I do give him the practice, and he's done it with me several times, when he's yelling like that, I just ignore him. And then over time, what happens is, because he knows that he's not going to get that help that he needs from me, right? Over time, he gets used to that. And then he knows that that's just something that he's going to have to deal with. Yelling is not going to help. Screaming is not going to help. Tantrum is not going to help. He's still going to get it done. So that would be my reply to that question. Oh yes, exactly. You. What do you do, LA Casanova? What do you do? Like you feel like you spoil your kid too, right? I think it's just something that we all do, like whether consciously or unconsciously, we all do it. Like we just spoil our kids on the spectrum. And someone called it learned helplessness on Instagram. She said she called it learned helplessness. So because we are helping them so much, they learn to be helpless. And they just expect you to do everything for them. So I posted one video recently of me not helping Williams. He was holding a mail and he was screaming and I didn't help him. And somebody said her son does it too, that the son will even ask the baby, the baby who is a few months old, to do something for him. And it's the same thing with Williams. Like with Williams, I tell Williams to do something. "Oh, why don't you do it, mommy?" "Oh, Zita, you do it." I'm like, okay, wait. I understand mommy do it because you say mommy is older than you, but why are you asking Zita to do it? You know? So it's just learned helplessness. Like they just want, anybody else to do it. The cat can do it. In fact, the plant can do it, but not them. They don't want to do it. But we owe it to them to take the time to teach them these things, right? We owe it to them. It's hard because I'm telling you, it's easier for me to go clean William's room than for me to say, Williams, go clean your room. Because I'm probably going to have to say it over and over and over again, right? So it's hard. Becky says, yes, so like my son will not feed himself because he knows I will do it. See? Exactly. Ellie Casanova says, my son has autism. I always say my baby don't know. Poor baby. My husband is strict with him and he listens. And with me, he does as he pleases, but my son is not verbal. I think kids with words, I think they need more discipline. Maybe I'm wrong. Like your son is super smart. I think some need punishment, some don't. I'm new to autism life. Well, okay, let me say this. I think every child is different, right? Some kids, I believe, need consequences. Don't call it punishment. Some Facebook police will come and tell you don't punish children. So call it consequence, okay? All right, so some children need consequence, some children don't. Same thing with autism. Like, I think what confuses us sometimes is we think every behavior is about autism. No, my son is a boy. So boys will naturally, most boys have behaviors. Most boys will challenge your authority, right? Most boys. So sometimes his behavior is just about him being a boy. It has nothing to do with his autism. So me, I have to be strict. Like, sometimes I'm like a soldier and they are like my... what they call the head of the soldiers. I don't know anything about these things, but like the other day, Zita said to me, you're acting like we're in the military. But I have to act like that sometimes because I'm raising a boy, okay? So everything isn't about his autism. Sometimes I have to be strict with him because he is a boy and he's going to challenge any authority. That's just how boys are, right? So maybe I'm wrong. Okay, it's tricky. Every child is different. True. Yeah, every child is different. I think the most important thing is to learn your child. Like I always preach spending time with your children. Especially, I mean, with every child really, but especially if your child has autism, you want to spend as much time with them as possible because you want to know what they like, what they don't like, what they can do, what you can push them to do, what you can step back from. All of those things are things that you will find out after you've spent time with them, so that you're not doing anything that will cause trauma to your child, right? Over expecting, over pushing. You don't want to do any of that. Or over pampering. All of that is wrong. Over anything is wrong. So we want to spend as much time and learn them, you know. Oh, she said I needed this. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for watching. My son is so sweet. He just gets mad when they take him away from the swing or pull. Other than that, he's not challenging. Okay, that's awesome. That's good to know. That's good to know. Well, anyway, that's what I wanted to... Oh, you know what, guys? I always forget to talk about our platform. So on williamslovetolearn.com, if you go to williamslovetolearn.com, we have a platform where we share, me and some licensed therapists, because you guys know I'm not licensed, but for some reason, some people like to work with me because I have parenting experience, so real world experience. So we have a platform that people can join and we have loads of topics that you can learn from. It's only $17 a month. So if you guys want to do that, please do that. It helps us. It helps me keep the therapists there because they get paid. It helps us a lot. But I mean, there's nothing that is on there that I don't teach on my free channels, because I'm not trying to hold anything back. I'm trying to reach as many people as possible, especially people like in Africa, because I'm from Nigeria and I know that we don't have access to therapy. So that's the reason why I do what I do, because I want to reach as many people as possible who do not have access to therapy, just to let them know that they're not alone and to give them tips that they can use, tips that I used to help Williams get to where he is today. Because believe it or not, Williams wasn't this verbal and he wasn't this articulate and he wasn't this understanding at all. It took loads and loads and loads and many, many hours of therapy. So if you guys want to go to Williams Love Tolearn, please do that and join us. So Ella Casanova said, my husband one time consequence my son in the butt and he listened. I said, don't do it, but my son listened. I know. I'm not gonna say hit any child because I don't want CPS at my door. I don't know, but I mean, like, do that to your kid. Sometimes it helps because, especially with kids that hit people. I don't like kids that hit people. Like, I want to hit you back just so you know it's painful. But some children like the pain. Some autistic children like the pain. So you have to be careful with what you're doing. And no, I will not say hit your children. I don't think that's a good thing. So anyway, if you guys live in an apartment and your child has tantrums all the time, what do you guys think? Do you think that your neighbors should just deal with it because your child has autism? Or because I mean, if you can't help it, you can't help it with your child, but I would do anything possible to get my child to quiet down, because I just feel like your neighbors did not sign up for it, right? I know some autism parents had the impression of, well, I have an autistic child, they have to deal with it, but I don't think that's the right approach. Plus, if you're thinking about how to get your child to have less behaviors, it's also going to help your child to have less behaviors, and over time they will learn to have less of that. Because the thing we want to do is to start preparing them for the future, right? Depending on the age of your child, start preparing them for the future. So I think when you have the mindset of, oh, everybody else deal with my autistic son, I don't think that's a good mindset to have. Yes, people are putting things in place for children or adults with autism, like even companies are figuring out how to employ them and keep them and all of those things. And those things are beautiful. Some parks have, days for children on the spectrum. Some movie theaters have that. All of those things are beautiful. But if you can, I would say put in the effort to get your child to be as, I don't know whether to use the word conforming, as possible. And I'm not trying to say take the autism away from them. No, but it's important that they're able to pull back on certain behaviors when they're in certain places, right? Like when you go to the library, you cannot speak out loud. You have to pull back. So all of us need that. So it's not just autistic people that need to do that, but it's harder on them. I agree, right? But even me as in a neurotypical person, I think if I go somewhere that I don't like, I just have to be polite in the meantime, knowing that, okay, after a few hours, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go home and be in my safe place, right? So it's the same thing. Even with autistic children, we have to teach them that in life, there's certain places, certain people, this is how to react in those places. And we just have to practice it. We cannot just leave them to be however and whoever they are, okay? So anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Thank you so much to everyone who joined my live. You guys are truly appreciated. And leave me a comment. If you watch this on replay, you can say #replay if you want. And if you want to visit Williams Love Salon, please do that. We really appreciate everyone who joins us. And thank you guys. Bye.